just like sort of looking at it in my
That's all I
head.
got.
But a lot of people can't even, oh no, I gotta be healthy. I'm not healthy. You know, I'm not like that anymore. It's like I got a broader palette, at least in sort of how I think about it.
Did
I don't know.
you see the theory of everything?
No, but I heard about it.
Yeah, it was great. But I mean, you want to talk about somebody that's like, just like can't do anything.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, actually, he can do a few things. He's had 3 kids.
Really?
Yeah.
We're back to penises again?
I know. Everybody's very funny.
See, he probably did those things so that she could get away.
You know what? That's ruled by a different, that's
Planet?
more of an autonomic type of function.
You know, exactly, that's what Christopher Reeve, same thing.
Yeah. There you go.
He had kids after he got
He was able
paralyzed.
to have sex
Wow.
with his,
God bless the reptilian brain.
But then, no, I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but I posted something about this kid who got sick, and it was some kind of a gangly brain thing. And
Hands are too
I just typed in.
My life
And
is
he
too
went into
tight.
a deep coma. And he came out of it, and it was totally catatonic. But I mean, it took years, like a few years, like 2 years for him to mentally.
Did the cheat?
I must unbutton myself.
But he
It'd be
did?
nice, but I can't.
He
Oh.
was just a vegetable.
Oh, but he did.
And so he's,
Anything?
you know, his mother, like,
Yeah, sure.
you know, she was taking care of him. And for the next 12 years after he came out, he couldn't do anything. So his mother would take care of him, and she would say, I wish you would just die, you know, things like that.
And he
didn't
was,
know he could, you know, process any of this stuff. And he caught it all. And they would like, then he went to a facility somewhere, and they put him in with other people that were just sort of staring ahead. And they would have Barney on, Barney cartoons, you know. You are me, we
I
are
love
one.
you, you love me,
Whatever.
we're a happy family.
Oh, Lord. Okay, enough.
Won't you say you love me
And
too?
he hated that so much.
But he couldn't move.
That it seemed like that was the activator for him to actually develop some kind of movement.
he got pissed enough to just,
Well, that's what it seems like. I mean, you
yep,
know,
and determined enough, let me out of
That's-
here. I gotta have more than
that's what
this.
he was
Wow.
Do it.
I would do it. Purple dinosaur.
and then they
every
realized,
time.
oh, he has,
Oh, great. Thanks.
he can respond to this. And
Mhm.
then they tuned into it, and now he's married, and I mean, he's
Really?
still, he can't talk, but he talks with like a
Mhm.
gizmo.
Wow. Wow.
What a story.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like that lady who had the stroke. I have that.
My-
on the
We're on
wall
some kind of
somewhere.
weird,
My
disabled,
stroke
disfigured
My stroke
people's
of
stories.
insight, and
Oh.
yeah, Joe Bolte Taylor, and that was pretty wild too.
Well, we all walk around so identified with
Mhm.
self as body,
Yeah,
just to get your mind around not
Self
being
as not-
self as body is not that straightforward a task.
it's not.
I mean, half the population can't really get around self as penis or, you know, the opposite,
Right.
you know, the female side, self as sexual object, you know.
I'm way beyond.
Age helps.
Yeah, we just go to maybe on that. I'm the soul in the body. Good Lord.
That's a good one.
Yeah, they are good.
Dude, we're gonna kill it.
Oh, that's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, this is a nuts.
It's a lot of nuts.
Too many hands.
Could you imagine
But when you're
all the
sure
Waldorf
you're-
kids?
Don't put this recording. Cut this part out of the recording just in case.
That's right.
we won't
These are
I was not
legumes. They're
here.
not nuts.
We won't listen.
Pistachios are not nuts. They're legumes.
when you're walking around sure that you're self as body, you are totally fucked. Guaranteed.
Or you wish you were. Desperately is good. If you're going to wish something, you may as well do it desperate.
I mean, how vulnerable can you get? These bodies are pretty vulnerable.
And they remind you of it all the time.
What's that?
They remind you of it all the time.
Yeah. Especially as you get older.
I cured my corporal tunnel for 3 days by wrestling with a 100-pound pit bull.
Really?
My hands were not numb for 3 days.
Cool.
My son's like, it will be called exercise, Mom. But like the route anyway. But yeah, if I couldn't eat my hands or something.
But one of the things that brings, I think, this discussion to life is the invitation to look and see what else is here beyond just this idea of a self as body, or a self as some image, or a self as, you know, the person I was at work today.
Yeah, and you know, I'm happiest when I get outside of self. You know, when you're involved in something that you lose yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just so great
That's an interesting expression.
when time disappears. And,
Mm-hmm. Losing yourself in something.
that's when you feel. That's when I feel truly alive. Anyway. You know?
Mm-hmm. Most extraordinary artists report kind of a lack of self as they're in their creative mode. You know, like it comes through them and it's not
Yeah.
done by self.
Yeah. Or else they're talking about the object that they're creating already being inside, like sculpt.
Oh yeah, they're just
sculptures and,
setting it
you know,
free.
They carve out these trees and they said they're, you know, or rocks or whatever, and they said it's in there. You just have to find what it is that's in there. I just love.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't have that kind of ability, that artistic talent, but I think it's so cool.
Snacks.
Those are pretty artistic.
Yeah.
I think you found the inner tree
You're missing something, Jerry.
in those cookies.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. Goddamn sunset in those cookies.
My artistic expression is eating.
Mm. We can swing back and forth from salt to sugar.
Right,
Perfect.
right.
Oh, you have to nibble away at what's there to find what's not there.
Mm.
As in, all gone.
Constitutory heat.
Have any friends on there? So just you, and you still.
I don't know.
The one night that I was one night when I wasn't here and I listened to it on YouTube. It was a blast. I don't know if you could see me on there, Jeff. I was there with one other person.
Oh, you actually, like, someone
I
actually
did.
watched the live
I was-
stream.
I couldn't
Look
You
at
could
here.
tell that somebody else was on too.
Oh, I bet it
I
was
think
good.
it said there were 2 guests.
Oh, but it
I
didn't
think
say.
I was one of them.
Could be.
Tell you.
Mm-mm. But it was funny. I was listening to all of you and I was like laughing along with you. I was like, it's almost like being there.
It is. It's irresistible not
Maybe
to
I'll
laugh.
have to drive over.
Well, you can do the video thing too, the fuse meeting.
I haven't done that yet. What is that about?
Well, you're sort of lined up like all these squares.
Nuh-uh, for real.
Yeah, yeah.
My own home with
How
square.
do you do it there? You, is it a camera? Like your,
Well, it's your laptop camera.
Oh, I don't have a laptop.
oh, okay.
You can join it audio only,
You can do it.
either through the Fuse application or through a phone call to a landline in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
You can get a real cheap little camera for like $15.
No, I have a laptop that has a camera. Also,
So you download the Fuse application,
You have to download it. Okay.
then you sign into the meeting number at the appropriate time. I host it, so I start the meeting this
Right.
way people can join it. So you can join it through video, so you've got your little face there and then everyone else's faces like Hollywood Squares.
Mhm.
Or you can join it by, audio.
I'm in yoga every Tuesday, so until 8:30, so.
Oh, we'll put it into that.
I don't think so.
Good for you. Fight back.
To tell you.
Yeah, really. Don't hold your breath on that one.
I have to tell you though, I really enjoyed the "Are you real?" and "Smoke in my face" and the Scrabble thing. Like,
Huh.
what the fuck?
Yeah. I know. Really.
We didn't record Sunday morning, that was pretty good.
Right. Sunday. I have to figure out how to do that at that. Well, I'll just have to get batteries for the thing.
That Ascension
Was
War
that back
thing
in
was pretty
the
good.
Or
Where do you come up with
It was
that?
at the Hattery,
What?
which is around the corner.
Oh, are you doing
Certain kinds of peeps and
I don't know.
boots and.
I saw that on. I love it there. My daughter, I love it.
You just dream. You just place yourself in the scene, you know?
Oh my God, I didn't even know what kind of, I forget what kind of key you put on there, I had to look it up, and like certain, like, just these really specific things that are really funny.
Yeah. Manolo Blahnik pumps.
I mean, downstairs,
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody knows what they are.
they go upstairs. It looks like it.
Did you have your French toast?
No, I.
Just saying pets. That one was good.
Well, it was part of the penis theme.
Oh, you guys had a penis thing too?
No, we were just referring to the restaurant at the Ascension Noir.
Oh, yes.
So being the pod people at Wedding Pets.
That was really cool.
I liked it.
Yeah, what was it you're referring to in the beginning? I didn't catch that reference.
When? Where?
In the Ascension War, Wong's or something like that?
Oh, well.
Wong Fats?
Yeah, what is that? Is that just a,
Well, that's this.
is this?
Oh. Everyone's dining at Wong Fats. No, it really was. You know, it wasn't premeditated. You know.
It just came through you.
Well, Beth and I went to see Inherent Vice. You know, and smoked a nice fatty. And that's it's a stoner Joaquin Phoenix inspired film, you know,
Yeah.
which is a kind of a noir,
Hmm.
right? Crime thing,
Mhm.
disappearing people, conspiracies all over the place.
Mhm.
You're not quite sure who's coming and going or why, and weird creatures popping up out of nowhere and disappearing. You're like, this is fantastic. A lot of the user reviews or non-critics reviews of the movie were pretty by and large everyone hated it and walked out within minutes. And I was like, this is going to be a great movie. I could feel it. And it was, for me anyway. The critics liked it. You know, they had a kind of an appreciation of the curious elements that were stitched together to make it work. So I texted Beth with more or less the opening paragraph from, that thing that I wrote, because that's what was rolling around in my head. I was like, I just come out of this film and I could feel that noir kind of feeling, like everything is a fuzzy crime scene, seething with, lust everywhere and drugs. And you're like, oh God. So I went to pick up some Chinese food.
Of course.
Long Fats.
Well, yeah. Oh. And I just sent her this little text, it was just a sentence or two, because that's what was coming through my head, because I could feel it. I was like, oh, this is too much fun. So I didn't want to lose it. So I just wrote down this one or two sentences, and I knew I could go from there, once I got back into it. So I just sent her the text, and she wrote back, do you need help? Do you need help?
I'm guessing that's a common text from Beth.
Yeah, right.
Loving wife.
Yeah.
She has.
I was like,
Dial.
I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm dialed in. So then when I got home, I had the text, and so I just went back into that mood and played around with what it would feel like to be in a certain scene.
I love the picture.
Yeah, it was a great
Along with it.
Well, it was so strange, everything, all these little elements come, out kind of their own nature. You're just like, oh, that's weird, and that's weirder, and that's fun, and that's weird. And so I just started looking for noir themed images, to see what might fit with what had been written. And there was that, this beautiful dame blowing smoke in the guy's face. And I thought, oh, if that don't beat all. So it didn't really have it wasn't intended to have some kind of tongue-in-cheek or wry spiritual theme, right? It was just this weird mood that had a kind of a
Bit of a romp.
a little bit of a romp where you could,
ending was good.
but he's like in her, he's in the Divine Mother's face and saying, before you rip me to shreds, one last question, right? Are you real, or are you just blowing smoke in my face? And she blows smoke in his face. Like, oh, I'm in deep now.
We're screwed.
Yeah, that's right.
Always entertaining when I'm at work and need a break.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God bless him. This is all right.
Well, you're always at Wong Fats.
Mhm.
You see, because you're dreaming, and the dreaming is so compelling, and you're so comfortable and so fond of and so habituated and acquiesced to the dreaming that presuming that the dreaming is reflecting reality is not even given a second thought. So, that's how the Divine Mother blows smoke in your face.
Yeah.
It's just dreams. And here it is. It just dreams like this. The entirety dreams as your present experience. And all of these associations are made, about how you're doing or where you're doing or what's going to happen later, or, if you can't wait to get there, or you dread getting there, or, the push-pull with psychological time, and the push-pull with appointments and events and things to do and not do, and, the overwhelm that one can feel, the paralysis one can feel from all of the consequences that are stitched together in the dreaming as if any of them are real whatsoever. And you think you're of a durable nature, so that, you're going to live another moment, right? Another 5 moments. You're convinced that you're living now, and you're going to live in the future. And so all the appointments that you have that are either exciting you or that you're dreading, you presume you're going to keep, right? And that's just part of the dreaming, because you can, quote, whatever it means, die at any moment from either accident, or the widowmaker, 98% occlusion in the left, ventricle. And then this dreaming would, for all, let's call it imaginary purposes, cease. Or it would shift into a much more, smoky, subtle way that is not recorded through the vitality of, a biologic form. That smokiness is, you could say, still there, right? The smokiness of dreaming, but now you can't associate the dreaming with your body or your mind or things to do, unless you end up in, kind of a ghost, right, situation where you're kind of trying to inhabit the physical world as a disembodied, persona. And there's plenty of evidence that, this occurs.
Find a good potter.
All over the place. Welcome presences of, deceased family members or whatever, and really sometimes unwelcoming presences that, don't want you around. Yeah. So this is just
The presumption, it's so much more than a presumption.
yeah.
Because, it's not, the presumption sounds to me like, oh, you considered it and you, or not, but you presume it seems mild. in comparison to what it actually is. It's totally gripping. You don't even give it a second thought that this dream that you have, this non-continuous, blurry dream that just, asserts itself
Mhm.
is real.
Yeah.
There's no question of doubt that it's absolutely real.
Well, if real suggests something is occurring, that it is real. That there's, this smoky weirdness occurring, soliciting you,
Yeah.
expressing as,
But
sensorium.
typically, the dream itself is what is absolutely real.
Yeah, but aren't there times when you've said, this just can't be real? I mean, there's
Yeah.
lots of times that I doubt that it's real.
I'm just
Sure.
Because you just can't
noting.
believe what's going on.
Right. No, I'm just noting that it just feels, it feels beyond real. It feels like the only real there is. There's not even a question.
Mhm.
And until there is, until you step back.
I just am starting to see it all, and I'm sure other people have said this a million times, but the whole, it's like a game, that life is a game, that we're just involved in so many different games, especially at work. It's almost on a bizarre level at work.
Yeah.
You're like, dear God,
Yeah.
I don't really know if I want to play this game right now. Can I not play this game? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know what you're trying to make me do to play this game, but I'm just, I don't want to play that game. But I just see that, the game of life, I just look at it as a series of different kinds of games
Mhm.
that are going on.
It's a lot better than taking it seriously.
What's that?
It's a lot better than taking it seriously.
Yeah.
It counts on you to believe it.
The game counts on you
Well,
to take it serious.
This anthropomorphizes and rallies to let's say an animated level with such a force of nature that even as we feel things a little more subtly, the reflex to convert this into a human framework, right? A behavioral human framework is still very, very strong. So games, and of course games are played, is an observation of, human behavioral systems that are less than authentic, less than satisfactory, arbitrary, manipulative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the feeling of the human game atmosphere is still very human, right? Yeah. And what would it feel like as presence presenting to itself as your experience, and there was absolutely no association with it from the familiar filter of human interface. So even what we call human or inhabit as, Homo sapien, sapien, well hung, unhung, however hung,
Got her attention again.
yeah, is arbitrary, you see?
Hung versus unhung is arbitrary?
Yeah, well. So what would it look like or feel like, more importantly? Sorry, God,
Jeez, I think
it's too late now.
yeah.
Let's start over. Let me
Can't get out of
reboot.
the gutter.
Let me reboot. We'll just start over.
Don't use the word words hung or unhung.
Mm.
anymore.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Related to
It's my
how might it
fault.
look and how might it feel.
And arbitrary, definitely not the same.
Yeah, we're done. We're cooked.
Too much chocolate.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. Accompanying the dreaming is attentivity to, right, the proliferation of association. Right. You're aware, let's say, of firsthand texture experience, and you're aware of the feeling of conjuring in situ, in your so-called mind, right, in the privacy of your disembodied experience. And you also possess the miraculous capacity to assign meaning, veracity, predictability, and reliability to the dreaming, which makes it appear as if you are, the world is, experiences of a durable nature, a continuous and durable nature. That's why we have appointments that we either are longing to keep or dreading to keep or completely neutral about. Right? And this suggests a psychological time.
We have a lot of co-conspirators, it seems like. We're always seeking co-conspirators, you know, to play the game, you know, to convince ourselves of whatever reality we're constantly creating. You know,
We do seek and impose and receive, typically with agreeability or care, the myth of the other. Right? And we're happy for the company of other animus. And if somehow we are separated from the company of other animus, we'll create a Wilson.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yep.
Such is the, power of association as animus. That if we're on a desert island, right, we will create a friend, maybe the whole, community of friends, and line them up, fruits and sticks and twigs and carcasses and, And why not?
first I was thinking of Wilson the neighbor that you only saw the top of his face. And I realized.
Or Dennis the Menace's Mr. Wilson. Yeah.
That's true.
Let's not leave him out. Now, the moment we, you could say, start seeking for a different quality of experience, right? We've already created, let's say, imaginary hurdles. In other words, you take your awareness on the road to have a improved spiritual experience. So you want to make sure that, you've had your kale juice and your vitamins, and you've done your, morning sun salutations, one or two will do. And that, on Tuesdays or Thursdays or whatever, you go to the bowling league or you go to the Buddhist place, you do your stuff. And so we create a persona that's got its Tony Robbins shit together, its act together. It's committed, it's clear, it's, there's a routine in place. That routine is beneficial for us psychologically and psychiatrically and physically and spiritually. So we've really wrapped ourselves up in beautiful, Egyptian cotton before we get shoved into the sepulcher of self. And all of these associations are fantasy in one way of thinking or speaking, but also just deliciously so. You are deliciously so. Even as a dumb fuck, fantasy drunk seeker, you're still deliciously so. So it's not like insisting on a certain quality of clarity as contrasted with the quality of, misanthropic misunderstanding. Because again, you're creating one creates a myth of dichotomy, a myth of comparison, which happens to be about the optimal quality of my present experience. That's not freedom, because you're still engaged with the myth of your experience as if you are an individuated persona and you're on a path for optimization. And even within the typical monitoring of our day and experience, that's what we're doing. We're optimizing, right, our experience somehow. Wanting to make sure that we're wringing, all of the orange juice out of this rind, which dried out a long time ago. You see? So, therefore, when we approach spiritual and me generation or self-help remedies, right? We approach them from the point of view of acquisition, of improving my joy meter. Right? Joymeter? Joyometer.
That sounds better.
Okay. And we're neurotic in that quality of self-assessing, having a better idea that this could be different than what it is right now, and then applying myself to actualizing how I should step up to the plate for improved, right, experience. We don't leave ourselves entirely alone, right? So we take ourselves on the road. We either dream with no consciousness that we're dreaming, or we dream with some measure of consciousness that we're dreaming. And we continue to interfere with our experience as an agent.
What about that?
Right? And that's what's driving us crazy, is that we can't just leave this alone.
We attempt to interfere, I think is a better way to put it. We think that we are making it happen or avoiding things or whatever, and
Yes.
we're just given the descriptions kind of after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah, when you look truly at the geometry of thinking and association, or what might be called will or free will or free choice, you hear a bunch of pundits out there that talk about free will and choice, and your mind is absolutely free and you're in control of it and what it thinks, or how you pay attention to it, and or what you do about it. So you have these kinds of psychonauts that like to emphasize nonsense like choice and free will, and then have you exercise it for your betterment, right? So that you're not pained by distractible thinking.
But on a simple note, like I had a choice to come here or not come here, and I chose to come here.
Yeah, well, that's not really what happened.
So what happened?
I don't know. All that happened is this. Nothing happened other than this. And right here, you can either be present as a choice maker, right? Which is dreaming, as far as I'm concerned. Or you might play around with being present absolutely fettered by the clusterfuck of choosing. Nothing happened to you before this moment. No choice. You never made a choice prior to this moment. And you're in no condition or position to make a choice now. And if you think that you are capable of making choice, then you're going to be accompanied by, the neurotic after math of whether you made the right or wrong choice. So you're crediting yourself with being somehow responsible for where and how you find yourself presently. But you're not. You're not responsible for where and how you find your present experience. You made no choice for this to be so.
Could you say that the choice is so automatic that you can't even claim it as your own? I mean, it's like, it's no choice. It's inevitable, I mean, I'll look into something, what have you, and I go down a certain path. Seems to be a choice, but it was inevitable,
Well, you say it's inevitable by looking back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is maybe convenient, maybe inconvenient. So this present moment here, is this inevitable?
Well, it has nothing to do with it, I guess.
Okay. So then maybe that's an interesting observation, that this moment here, the one where you actually say live, not the ones of fantasy, but here, is this inevitable? You say, well...
In the realm of fantasy, I would say, yeah, of course. But yeah.
It doesn't compute, you see? So all placement of space, time, and causality and choice are just, right? They only appear in fantasy. Right? They only appear after the fact, whatever the fact is, and we don't even know what the fact is. But all of that stuff appears as a bookmark or as a sticky note in fantasy. Because this, whatever this is right here, right now, as if there were a here now or even a this, has nothing to do with inevitable. It's not the consequence of anything. And so there's no individuated agency sitting in the so-called room that you could say chose to be here. That's how free you are. Some people might not liken to that as freedom. Might be a little uncomfortable. Because the notion of separative existence, choice, manifest destiny, inevitability, space-time, right, is so compelling that you don't know who you'd be, what this would be without it. And you've never really given it a very careful consideration. So the first salvo might be, an unfriendly, unwelcome recoil. Yeah. Yeah. And so, this kind of conversation, which calls those associations into question, right, is, you could say it's a way of like chilling out to get out from underneath the recoil. Really, just for fun, obviously not profit. Just for fun, give your attention to your own magical nature. So you actually get used to this in a non-threatening way.
Just to get curious of what this would be without the interpretation, without the I chose.
Yeah.
to be here in this way, or
Yeah. Yes.
without that.
Yeah, and here you are.
What the hell is
You don't have to pretend, that you're going to experience it someday. Here you are.
I wonder if it helps when you, like I've always, not always, but a lot of the times have felt that decisions about my life were made by whatever,
Sure.
that, it's not the way the world likes you to be.
Sorry.
Oh, thanks for your generous contribution, Beth.
They're pretty crumbs.
Yes. Yeah, you look back and you can see, you can get a glimpse that, you were not the chooser or the decider.
Do you think that helps?
Helps what?
Helps in your ability to let go as a decision maker? Or
Well,
to get to a state where you,
careful.
careful.
Yeah, it's absolutely helpful and not at all. Why? Because there's not a place that you're at presently, nor therefore a place to get to. So what could possibly help?
Smell it. If their ear was just,
What are they?
dude, dark chocolate.
You
cherry.
see-
Oh, man.
You see what happens, like in order to have a place and a place and a get to, and things to either be helpmates or hindrances between those two, you have to imagine that this is something.
Okay.
That you're in a place now, and it's like when you were drinking and boozing and picking people up at various bars along Route 66, you were at 2. You were at 10, but you were behaving, in a 2 level, right? And so, now you've matured a certain degree. So now you're on your, you're still a 10, but you're like at a 6 maturity level. Let's say enlightenment is right 11, right? Like at that movie where their amplifiers went up to 11, right?
Yeah.
Spinal Tap. But our amplifiers go up to 11, right? Yeah. And so it's interesting that we can look back, over the highway, right? Route 66, looking all the way back, and we can trace ourselves, or at least we think we can trace ourselves. We still imagine that we're in a place or in a condition, and that, Ramana Maharshi was in a better place or a better condition, right? And well, I want to be at Ramana Maharshi's level. And you're like, why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm talking about too, you're talking about, imagining the letting go of the animus and the feeling that you're not in control and you're not making the decisions. I think if you're the kind of person that
Right.
needs to have everything, lined up, spelled out, every decision made, you've got 6 months ahead planned.
Yeah.
That kind of person
Yeah.
is going to, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to have the imagination, or
Well,
maybe not.
maybe, but are you really concerned about such an imaginary person? Who do you know that you're referring to? Yourself or someone else that you've run into? Or someone in a movie you once saw?
Type A.
Right.
The typical type A's.
Yeah. Well, there's just you.
Hmm.
There's only you. You are the sovereign. Your sovereignty. Just you. So if it appears in your imagination that you're in a place, there's some other place that might appear if I apply myself to, certain life puzzles, right? Spiritual puzzles. Then you could see that, the dreaming still has its, right, predominant influence on you. Yeah. Right. So cracking the cosmic egg is not a how-to. It can't be a how-to. Because there's no other place than here. There's no other condition than this one.
No better game in town than a
No,
fanzine show.
there's no-
Scary stuff.
There is no better game in town than your present experience. Yeah, that's right.
Not only no better, but no other.
No better and no other.
This is it.
So what we're looking at is how this miracle of your sovereign experience can convince itself of being in a condition or of a certain nature or as the consequence of one or a million events. Right? So your presence is irrefutable. Huh, I am that I am. We can go there, I am that I am. And that's it. This be Toys R Us. You see? Are you in a condition now? Are you in a place? Are you the consequence of anything? Are you of a certain caliber of spiritual understanding? And there's mo better spiritual understanding in your future as a result of playing skillfully with a bunch of, curious puzzles. See? If you don't subscribe to anything right now, if you just leave it alone, leave yourself alone. I mean, we know that you're mysterious, creative, acausal, sovereign, the entire universe. You are the dreaming nature of the Divine Mother, hands down right now, but just leave it alone. You see? Then what's the nature of your, call it texture or feeling, the nature of your awareness when you just leave it alone? It's interesting. It's not nothing. It doesn't have a story to tell, though a million stories appear in it with no effort. So you are the miracle in which storytelling occurs. You can chill as the miracle, which is exactly what this is. Or you can party with stories. You can forget that you are the miracle in which stories occur. And you can jump into your own science fiction noir instantaneously and imagine yourself to be the consequence of things and therefore have a whole bunch of appointments to keep, happily or unhappily or neutrally. See? So all of the dreaming, all of the associations that place you as a creature in space-time are imagined. That's not to say they're bad or good. It's just that you are so magical that you can actually see this. You're so good at being you that you can actually see dreaming arising in you. By being able to see dreaming arising in you, it becomes curiously more clear to you that, oh, I'm not the dreaming that's arising in me. I'm the sovereignty, the ineffability in which that dreaming occurs.
You kind of are naturally that artist in the flow. It's like
Non
kind of
stop.
what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that dreaming is going to stop at all. I mean, it'll continue on.
Why not? Yeah.
There may be no discernible, observable difference. Who knows? But
No. Wouldn't it be fun to truly be a secret Sufi? You know what I mean? Why run around like, Ramana Maharshi staring lovingly at everyone, or living in a cave to draw a bunch of attention to yourself and then spend the rest of your life petting peacocks? Wouldn't it be just as much fun to be completely unnoticed?
Yeah. I have a feeling there's a lot of those.
Well, you could say the entire humanity is like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's a secret Sufi, completely unnoticed. Yeah. Completely unnoticed.
The major flying.
Mm.
Yeah. whatever it is or was that Ramana Maharshi attained to, or Gautama Buddha, or any of your favorite, characters from 1,000 religions. What exactly? What did they find? This. And maybe they, were privy to magical powers, right? Gift of radiant healing, right? Raising the dead, walking on water, water to wine. Yeah, sure. All kinds of magical powers and demonstrations of Kundalini and Chi and cosmic energy and all that stuff. And you're like, oh, I want my fair share of that. And, maybe that's in your so-called future. If you had one, maybe it's not.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Now, if it's probably not, does that mean that, you've come up short? Right? Right? Most of the devotees, whatever it is that we're devoted to, we live a life of secondhand mediocrity because we've all come up short.
Yeah.
You see? I mean, Jesus had it going on. There's no way I'm going to even thinking that I could attempt to emulate, the Christ consciousness would be such hubris. I won't even, but still, you're that. Still.
Well, don't people wear all those bracelets? What would Jeff do?
It's a whole website.
I want one.
It's so absurd. Yeah. Liberation is not a thing. It's not an attainment. It's not even very useful. It's contrived.
Psychosis.
Yeah, liberated from what? Where exactly? As the result of working spiritual puzzles, or doing miraculous yogic feats, or purifying one's nature, withholding one's carnal instincts, not touching money, going around with a begging bowl, sitting on a meditation cushion. What? Walking into Redner's and picking up, some caramel corn and a 6-pack of Coke is a problem?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll take the chocolate chip cookies.
Wrong
Thank you very much.
example. Shit. Tuna fish and some liver bites.
That's okay.
A can of tuna, some liver bites, and saltines.
Ooh.
Back to the kale.
Yeah. Mhm. Right. So, with the most easeful of attention given to the, call it, texture or presence of your present experience, you're done. You're baked. That was easy. That was easy. Get used to feeling yourself completely relieved from psychic pressure, from the pressure of becoming, pressure of explaining, the pressure of appointments.
It feels almost like it's you're being a traitor to the usual patterns of worry and fret and, oh my God, if I don't hold on to those, I'll just it feels like heresy.
Yes, to
set it down.
To what we refer to as ego mind, type A, B, C, D personality. Right? Absolute freedom is a heresy. Yeah. Yes, it is. Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
But it's not something we can decide on anyway. I mean, really. I mean,
hang on. It's not necessary to decide or not decide. You're present now. this is already in your face. It's not waiting around for you to decide or not decide. There's no point in identifying yourself as an agent with or without decision-making powers. How about fuck you?
Or take the leap, you know, I mean.
No leap necessary. Leap from where to where. You see? Any qualification that you create is heresy. It's imaginary. There's no leap. You're not presently in a condition, ending up in some other condition, and then coming up with why it's possible or impossible to move from one condition to another condition. You see? It's made up.
I can be in a condition.
Okay.
I mean, yes.
All right.
I do have to go into history.
You can fabricate a condition.
Well, I can, I guess if memory is a fabrication, yes.
Okay, you can fabricate. Having been in a condition, imagining that you're in a
Memory
condition
is a
now.
certain kind of fabrication.
Okay.
So it's a little more specific. That the condition existed, and damn seems to be immovable.
Okay.
Now there's that will thing that seems to come that pops up in the rational mind.
Yeah.
You know, you can overcome this condition.
Well, you have to see it here, right? You can't report on yourself any other moment than now, because once you do that, you're living fancifully, and you're welcome to it, of course, in an anecdotal frequency. And if you're living in an anecdotal frequency, then I could argue, and I don't mean this in an insulting way, you're not really being true to yourself. You're indulging in fantasy. And you're welcome to do it. I mean, we all do. There's no crime. But what if you don't? Right? What if you don't? What if you don't place yourself in some abstract condition, or refer to other people, whether it's difficult or easy for them to accomplish a thing? Right? That's just, what is that? You see? Here, this presence is loud enough. Pretty loud. Loud enough. And if you're not conjuring, right, some anecdotal or a hypothetical abstraction, hysterically or otherwise, then you're not in a condition. If you want to go to memory and recall all the conditions you've been in, right?
Got all this gray matter just for that purpose.
I had to see what condition my condition was in, right? Yeah. But this is how, Jagadamba blows smoke in your face. Because you can miraculously conjure and accuse yourself of or others of being in a condition. Now you have to figure out how to get out of that condition or make it a better condition. You see? Whoop, you're in. You bought the farm. You bought the farm. And that's just habit. You're not condemned to it. You're not sentenced to it forever. It's habit of reflecting upon present experience through the imagination of hypotheticals or anecdotals or accusations of some kind, qualities of some kind, space, time, justifications. I chose. See? So you're delightfully, magically imposing upon yourself or your actual experience some kind of fantasy. Or you can be just as you are. No effort, no tension, no self-improvement, no anticipation, really. This is here, done. This is it. But what is it? Well, it's not a destination. You've not accomplished anything. You don't have to even feel differently about yourself or anybody else. You don't have to buy someone a Christmas turkey tomorrow morning and whip your heels up. You can just be the totally secret Sufi that's like, oh, wow. I had no idea. Without even having to have any fireworks or any demonstration at all. You can really leave this alone. Right? You know, if you're a seeker fucker chomping at the bit for enlightenment, you want symptoms. Don't you? You want symptoms.
Practices and
Yeah, right?
what to do.
You want things to be happening in your experience,
Peace of mind.
right? Okay, even if it's something as, you know, undemanding as peace of mind. Yeah, right? Yeah. But you don't need any symptoms for awake to be so. You don't have to have a, you know, incredible recall of, you know, past lives going back 100-fold, or be able to do anything. You can be the same old.
There's no enlightenment test?
No. You know, when you listen to Samuel Bonder and his, you know, bizarre wife on one of these, you know, interview things, they're going on and on about how the two of them act as litmus paper for the enlightenment of their so-called students. And I was, I had to get to the toilet, you know, in time.
Did they actually say that?
Oh yeah, I'm not
They
kidding.
actually call themselves.
For one low,
Well, you
low
can
price.
not exactly that. You can tell.
They didn't use the right lips.
No.
Just curious.
You see, and so again, you know, you look at this unconscionable heresy that enlightenment is a thing, that one occupies it, you know, as if a special room in the mansion, and then can evaluate, right, the accomplishments of others to see just how far along they've gone based on their, you know, behavior, how they answer some questions. You're like, hello? I mean, all of that is occurring in absolute fantasy. You see, it's trivial. The feeling of you is unabashedly present. Can you, for fun, feel the feeling of you without accusation, without a claim? Of course you can. You are fascinating, truly, and you are fascinated, truly. You could say that a moment's peace, reflection, is that you are fascinated with the fact that you are fascinating.
Well, I can't figure out if I am a noun or a verb.
Yeah, right.
Identity crisis.
I mean, truly.
Good question.
I'm a what? You a what?
Dave's not here, so I just wanted to fill in.
Before you take any prisoners, most frequently of yourself, before you make yourself a prisoner of yourself, you are a dreamy fascination. So the yoga then is to have a conscious contact with dreamy fascination. And hang with it and see if it doesn't present you with something that holds your attention. And we do flip back into thinking and association and, you know, that stuff. I mean, that easily and that quickly, and that's not really a problem. But you can feel how you feel when you make no claim, and you can feel how you feel when you're claiming. That's it. I mean, if I can be so bold, you could say that's the window into liberation. Because you can feel how you feel when you make no claim.
Mhm.
And you can feel how you feel when you are telling stories.
It's the feeling of letting go is the way I describe it.
Okay. But it's not like you had anything to let go of, nor any agency to be the letter goer.
Yeah.
You see?
But, you did say you come back to the thinking, you hang with an awareness
Mhm.
of claiming and not claiming.
Yes.
So I've noticed that, the more that you kind of ponder awakeness,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It filters more into the thinking part where you're more conscious that you're doing it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
without trying to arrive at a place,
Right.
you wind up arriving at a different place in your thinking. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or that's just what I've noticed recently, where it's like, okay, I see where this is going because I'm either trying to force it or direct it or whatever. And if I would
Yes. Yep.
let go of it and just let wherever it's going happen, I'm awake to what's happening.
Okay.
So
Yes.
it's just, it does bleed into that thinking part that we do.
Yes. Yep.
In my world.
Yes, but even the reporting upon it, you can see, is like arbitrary. And we get what you're saying, of course, but it's like, yeah, so, you know what I mean? So, what? Right? If I still take my life as a thinker sufficiently seriously enough,
Mhm.
then I can say, oh yeah, well, not thinking or being at peace or awake, whatever, starts bleeding into, my so-called ordinary life.
Mhm.
Right? And you're like, well, which is your real life? Which is your ordinary life? What's bleeding into what exactly?
Mhm.
You see? And so there's a movement of measure, of self-assessment by virtue of this magical power of contrast in memory, right? Contrast in memory that can say with all due confidence and charm, oh yeah, as I'm playing around with this shit, I see that it starts leaking or bleeding into my fantasy life, and I become, I don't know, more joyful, more relaxed, more wakeful, more something or less something, right? And you're like, oh, okay, all right. But it's not really necessary to report on yourself ever again. That's how free you are. That's how free this is.
Mhm.
Right? So in order to report on oneself, I have to charmingly subscribe to myself as a, corporeal experiencer,
Mhm.
having a certain quality of experience and noticing other elements appear in it.
Mhm.
And so you create, a kind of a lovely Maslow pyramid.
Hierarchy of
Yeah, you create a hierarchy of needs instantaneously out of pure fantasy and try to figure out where exactly you are on the pyramid. Right? Which is great. We all do it.
I've actually done that.
Mhm.
Yes, many times.
And concomitantly with, that way of looking at ourselves, of speaking about ourselves with others. It's like, boop, boop. That's the sound that the EKG makes when you flatlined.
That's what I was wondering.
Boop. Then they put the sheet over your head. Boop.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, I thought it was-
That's when-
Yeah.
All right.
That's when time stops.
Yeah. Mhm. Right. We look how enamored we are of, telling stories about ourselves and placing ourselves in space-time as an experiencer. Right? We anthropomorphize like crazy. I mean, we're just good at it. None of it's true.
But it's a good story.
Yes. I mean, it sometimes brings us together in a smoky bar.
Gives us something to talk about.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
mhm.
What's really going on is we find each other pheromonally irresistible, and the story is just kind of a, it's a social nicety.
It's an excuse.
Really, I find you pheromonally irresistible. What?
I mean, you're the one, but
Besides being beautiful, I find you pheromonally irresistible. Well, that's the first time someone said that to me.
Bad pickup.
yeah, I was just gonna say, look for that one.
Exactly.
The aroma could be the perfect pickup line, Right.
Right.
I've been waiting for you.
Huh? You're what?
You actually lose those pheromones too.
Estee Lauder can help. Something made out of rabbit urine, I'm sure it'll do the trick.
Should have brought perfume.
No. Looking at the nature of becoming, can be kind of devastating and a lot of fun. Liberation sneaks up on you from behind, which is you could say, the spontaneous cessation of becoming.
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous, and you could say cultivated. Your present experience is what? It's spontaneous. Present experience is always, right? Absolutely brand new, has never occurred before, is never going to occur again, doesn't have any duration. So you are, rock solid blissed out in causeless spontaneity, nonstop. And this causeless spontaneity has this curious capacity to dream and set up Zoo Tycoon, right? You've seen Zoo Tycoon, the computer game?
Zoo Tycoon.
Yeah, you create zoos.
Is it like a sim type of thing?
Yeah, it's a sim. You create zoos and animals and structures and, of course, the refreshment stands. And that's what mind does. You are Zoo Tycoon. You're creating a zoo. You're populating it instantaneously with the pure, profound Shakti power of imagination. But there's no zoo there. You don't have a staff. Yeah. So you see, again, we're playing around with the contrast of make no claim, take no prisoners, or becoming an instantaneous, right, powerfully mandating zoo tycoon. Yeah.
I mean, this is some kind of a serious brain switcheroo, you know?
Yeah, you could say it as a kind of a switcheroo. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the context is everything kind of reverses in a sense.
Yes, everything reverses.
What you may have considered before. Maybe you're just considering,
Twilight Zone.
you're just entertaining the whole idea of your life as, an interesting
Yes.
series of.
That's right. You've built a huge zoo over the course of your life. And what happens to all of your experiences and all of your sentimentality and all of your loyalties and all of your loves and all of your regrets, as the last breath leaves your carcass? And you're forced to see, depending on how much morphine you're under, the frivolity of your imagination over the entire course of your life.
Yeah.
Like a good puff of salvia divinorum can do. It'll just fucking erase you.
Without future.
Yeah, that's right. It'll just fucking erase you with no apology and no warning.
No remembrance at all.
Yeah, right. And that's right. I mean, that's a very startling encounter to see that the familiarity of you as a corporeally manifest creature is smoke, pure smoke. Maybe you want to stand tall like Wayne Dyer, Carolyn Meese, or some kind of celebrity. You want to stand tall in life. You want to have worked it out. You don't want to be a failure. You want to use your will and your mind and your resources and your conniving, creative mentality to get out there and make shit happen. Help other people. Like Tony Robbins, sell everyone a solution to a problem they don't actually have. Right? Sell everyone the technology how they can be winning. And win all the way. Yeah. See?
Just love that phrase.
That craving that we have to, win out, right? Is very seductive.
Yeah.
As opposed to losing.
Yep.
If you're not a winner, you're a loser.
Yep.
I think the abject failure is a much stronger invitation to look at the reality of what isn't here than the winning.
Yep.
And I predict. Actually, never mind.
So you have a prediction? We want to hear it. We didn't know that you were Nostradamus.
No. Ixnay on the
Ixnay on the prediction A. Ixnay on the prediction A. Yeah. Rediction prey. Ixnay on the rediction prey.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? Jesus. I made that shit up.
Big Latin. It is just a noticing. That's all. Just a noticing.
Yeah, you can't say what it is because you're transcendent.
It's not a practice. It's not a doing. It's not anything other than just.
The recognition of you appearing in you is absolutely transcendent and unbound. You can't call it anything because it's not a consequence.
Unqualifiable.
No. And wouldn't it be a lot of fun if that observation, that firsthand encounter, doesn't actually have to have any beneficent influence on the imagination of your life at all? You know? Wow. You don't have to become special. You don't have to become sacred. You don't have to become nice. You don't have to become compassionate. You don't have to have any more or less confidence than you've got right now about anything. You don't give a shit. You know? You're not beleaguered by the self-condemnation of qualifying yourself. Because every time we qualify ourselves, it is a surreptitious self-condemnation.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to earn it.
It is.
In most
Uh-huh.
paths, you have to earn it
Yeah.
in one way or another. Which is bullshit.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to have any more joy. You don't have to have anything.
Yeah.
Your life doesn't have to be punctuated by things that someone else might find enviable. Wouldn't that be interesting? No one notices you. If anyone says anything about you, they say, that Terry, she doesn't walk or talk. Then you know you're on the right track. Hey, no one likes you, and they just discard you. You're like, sweet.
Actually go for that.
Yeah,
That whole disappearing act.
Yeah.
absolutely discarded.
Still
Oh, that asshole?
Invisible.
He doesn't walk his talk. Like, thank you.
Spared.
Hmm. I mean, you kind of have to get used to yourself being absolutely useless. What are you going to do with your...
I thought I had mastered that.
Yeah, really. There's more to go in your case.
More to go. Yes.
Yeah,
That's good because I get more useless all the time.
yeah, really. I like this path. Everything's going my way.
Oh my God.
Useless.
Inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, what can I say? It's worthwhile just for fun to place a certain friendly demand upon your present experience so that nobody, including yourself, is blowing smoke up your ass. That this is something, or that it's about something, or that this being about something includes being about you. It doesn't. But that's the miracle. There's no point in inspiring anyone to do anything or become something in their future because you don't have one. There's this, just as it is. If you go in search of it, right, trying to figure out, is it the best it can be? You're doomed. Because if you're looking to see if this is the best it can be, what filter are you looking through? What lens are you looking through for this to be the best it can be? You see, so as the moment you're looking at this for it to be the best that it can be, you've already got a filter, right? You're plugged in. You're a filter looking at this through a certain filter. Well, how could this be the best that it could be? Well, it's in 1,000 ways, it's not the best it could be because I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and you're that and you're this, right? And it just floods in. It just floods in. This entire, kind of parting of the Red Sea floods in like an instantaneous hysteria. So the art of it then is to play around with the possibility of absolutely leaving it alone. Being completely engaged, remarkably engaged, attentive, intimate, available, interested. You're just in the perfume of yourself, but you just leave it completely alone. Woo, 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 woo. And you could say you are always absolutely remarkably engaged with yourself, the perfume of yourself, but living through the filtration of, fantasy, right? Of a time-space animus, which is fantasy. I don't want fantasy to go away. I mean, you make a really nice cookie in fantasy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to go cookieless here. That would be silly.
Yeah, I know with my daughter, speaking of, the fantasy that we're all in, when they start asking for advice now, it's more like, I don't know, I'm just making this stuff up as I go along too.
I'd really like to help.
You got to believe something to give
Don't
people
think
earnest
I have the
advice.
answer for you anymore.
Yeah.
Because we're all just making it up
Yeah.
as we go along.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a little bit freeing,
Mm-hmm.
being in the present moment or whatever.
Well, you can become the enjoyer of pure improvisation,
Mhm.
over which you have no control. Now, is that the message you hear from The Secret? Or, the law of attraction?
That's all about
Or all of those
achieving
fuckers?
control.
See? Yeah, it's all about placing yourself in the scene, at the scene of the crime, to exercise winning control. But you're not going to be happy there, because that's a myth. Where you're happy is the revelation of absolute improvisation over which you have no control. None.
That's the freedom.
That's the freedom. Yep. Yeah. And that's a different twist than, doing whatever they do in Silva Mind Control and getting a parking spot.
I remember that.
Right? Yeah. You do a certain, you do a thing and you get a parking spot.
That's right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'd rather just gun it.
There's so many, it's so insane.
I forget what it was. I read that like
Yeah.
20 years ago, maybe.
I know. I was there. I paid. I took it.
I have to tell you, if you want to just peruse the most insane fucking group of people for fun, go on conscioussingles.com and sign up for a free account. Oh my god. I'm a Palladian from the third star. And
Oh my goodness. Nice.
I mean, you can peruse the whole country of just the most insane. It's insane. It's really, talk about qualifiers and checkboxes and. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I know very
Practice
very
that.
few
Conscious what?
conscioussingles.com, and you can just put in a free account, make up whatever you want, username. I mean, it's a great way to just mess with people, really. But I just like going on and cruising on the insane. I mean, it's pretty insane.
Hmm.
It's really it's not many people on there. Just
I was going to say, are they mostly women?
no.
No.
No, but it's all that, it's like I'm very invested in my spirituality and this is very important to me and I can obtain parking spots and I'm from the third star and I'm an old
That's the gal
soul
for
and
me.
I'm
I don't have to worry about that again.
Yeah, because that's a pain in the ass.
you can go on there and just say, can you manifest parking spots? We're doing that. 100%.
That's right.
Dear Palladian Joe, good luck getting me to sleep with you.
It's just so whack. I mean, there's a really lot of self-diluted and
Diluted.
Whatever.
Diluted.
Self-absorbed.
Sounds like Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
They're insane.
That's a whole nother category.
Yeah. To be completely nourished, sated from this moment, as this moment, and enjoy the view of improvisational, fractal presentation with no control. Some sweet shit. And subtler still, you could say there's a certain kind of bliss being the observer or the enjoyer of this improvisational wonderland. And subtler still, you are that. You're not even the enjoyer, right? Because even bliss requires a certain kind of suggestion of dichotomy, right?
Mhm.
Right? You're so overwhelmed with the view that there's bliss. What if you can play around with being completely underwhelmed by the view? This is you. This is what this is. This is what you are. You see, like there's nothing left in there to suggest a reference, right? To place yourself in any position. And that's just this. Perfect identity is no identity. There's no reference point. No quality to have, no quality to be without. As wild as all proliferation is, in your nature, there's no proliferation. Everything is happening as far as the eye can see, macroscopically, microscopically, telescopically, ... right? Everything is happening. And yet, nothing is happening. There's no otherness. And this is a different vocabulary, yeah, the way we're playing around with these associations. It's a very different vocabulary than trying to suck your fair share of bliss out of, right, the chaos of experience.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. I know.
Comes back to bite your ass.
It's great.
Actually.
It's great that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We might spend decades of our lives being really pissed off that it doesn't work, right? Take drugs and all kinds of interventions and hoping that we could make it work. Listen to Abraham Hicks or, whomever, and exercise magical powers to try to make it work better. Right? For me, bend a spoon, go to Sedona, swim with dolphins, hug a tree at Mount Shasta, photograph orbs. You know what I mean?
Photographs of orbs.
I know. You can have all kinds of, call it extraterrestrial fun, right here in Conscious Singles. Thank you, Conscious Singles. Please call this number. My name is Jeff. I'm pheromonally available. All right. So when we look at the clever maneuverings of conventional human thinking or conventional New Age thinking, you got two of the same shoe?
Size two.
They're size 2. Are they half off when they're that small?
Yeah, they should be.
Oh my gosh, just single side, I had to check under 5 feet tall.
You're gonna have a lot of midgets hunting you down.
I know, I was like, can I explain? Like, I'm really looking at each
Fourth grade.
I'm like, for 1 minute.
Dear Arcturian Francine, we're doing a remake of The Wizard of Oz, and we were wondering if you'd be interested in it.
It was only like an inch. It sounds so bad. I'm like, I should just do one up.
Oh my God.
Just wear elevator socks at all times.
We represent the Lollipop League, the Lollipop League. And we welcome you to Munchkin Land.
Conscious munchkins.
Conscious Munchkin Singles.
Mini single.
Yeah,
Anything.
it sounds like something you put on a slice of bread. Munchkin Singles. Better than American cheese.
When I was in like grade school, guys used to put their knees in their shoes, so it looked like it's like you're looking
Yeah,
at it,
yeah.
and kneel and like sing that song to me. So I started kicking them in the nuts.
Back to that.
And when your knees are in your shoes,
Yeah.
Mm.
You have to fight back.
you kick them in the nuts.
Learned that
Thanks for
trick pretty
reading
early,
that.
didn't you?
She may be small, but she's vicious.
Small but
Really.
Tough.
She's a piranha.
Well, I used to think that there were all these, of course we all do, we subscribe to some rules of life that either we imagine or we're told and I was saddened to hear about Robin Williams, with the suicide, but who knows?
Wow.
I don't know what I think.
You mean he wasn't assassinated by the Hollywood Illuminati?
Oh yeah, that too, for sure.
Oh, is that?
Definitely. You can tell by all the stuff, signs,
All the signs were there.
the movies,
Mhm.
TV shows.
That brings us kind of like back to the body. That belief that you're a body means you think that by outing the body you can fix something. It's actually kind of absurd. Why do you need to kill a body?
Yeah, but it also, I mean, then you get to the point where was it really a decision that he made? Or was it something that,
Mm-hmm.
was led toward? Who knows?
He was just doing what came naturally to him. Maybe.
Just like Mr. Natural.
Mr. Natural.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned improvisation because he's like the king of improvisation, which made me think of him when you said that.
Hmm.
That we're improvising and, just made me think, oh, wow, here's a guy. That's what he did for a living, it's, he always did this.
From what I understand, he lived to do that. He
Right,
do that at every drop of a hat, at every opportunity.
yeah.
So to plummet from there, it would be scary if that's what you feel your life would be, is to taking on those roles. Try not taking on the role. Could be scary. That's why I think this scares a lot of people.
It's more frightening than Zorro.
So,
Wasn't he a good guy? He was a good guy.
He was a good guy.
Okay.
if you were a good guy.
Hmm.
But if you were a little questionable, then
Then he's
You might end up with a Z.
a big old Z on the forehead.
That's right.
You should bring that back.
Z on the forehead.
He's talking about the Z's. And big old headboard thing behind it and got in trouble because we carved Z's in the back of the headboard.
You mean the Zorro Z?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. You did the Zorro Z? I sure did.
Oh, my mom was so
That's in the back of headboards of photo.
The best reason to have stuff is to pretty much destroy it. I don't know why adults don't see that, but what happens? I think that's the day that you lose your magic. You know,
Mm.
that you're no longer interested in destroying stuff
Mm.
for no reason. Yeah, you're still there? You've maintained your childhood
Nobody will
glow.
let me near any of their belongings.
Really?
Wait a minute.
Hi, I just like to destroy shit.
And she'll have a key to her house.
How do I break this?
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
What is that? A chocolate covered cherry?
Oh man, just smell it. It's irresistible. Smell it.
Smell it.
You still got
dark
another one on the
cherries.
floor. It only makes
Whoa.
it like target.
What do I have?
Cleanse it,
Oh my god.
and then you kill a child. Here's one could be bad.
Where are we putting it?
It's bad when you vacuum or just throw it on the
Mmm.
Want to kill each other?
Are they real cherries or the maraschino cherries?
They're good.
I thought if they're maraschinos, they wouldn't be good.
They're real.
Those things are like
Right.
red colored rubber.
Oh, more sweet. Cool.
And if you're saving that one, I thought it was like a pebble. I was like afraid to touch it.
Dirt.
I'm storing nuts over here.
Squirrel.
This winter.
If
He's in safe
if
mode.
you're not storing anything or taking any prisoners, like storing nuts in the corner. I'm not saying don't store nuts.
I'm not saying don't store nuts. Store nuts. Just give me some. Well, Any last minute observations before we turn this off? Turn down the lights. Turn down the lights on our liberation.
So I'm gonna puke, but I can't stop eating.
Well, thanks for that remark.
It's a nice parting
This
number.
is Overeaters Anonymous, right?
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
this is just plain old overeaters. Forget the anonymous
This
part.
is just anonymous.
We're not at all anonymous. We're just
Self-proclaimed.
overeating.
Self-proclaimed overeaters. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night's Friday. It'll be at Panera, I think. And after that, I'm planning on going to whatchamacallit, the Triumph Brewery to see Hey Bulldog.
Oh, that's coming next tomorrow.
You know, they play Beatles music
Oh, they're just gonna name.
When is that, Saturday?
tomorrow.
Which
Tomorrow.
Triumph Brewery, where's that?
Triumph Brewery is in New Hope.
Oh, hey, Bulldog.
Hey, Bulldog.
Yeah, it's a fun.
Triumph, huh?
I think too.
Is that where